Welcome to On the Go with Celico, the podcast where we introduce tips and techniques for job seekers in Southeast LA. Enjoy the episode.
Greetings, listening world, and welcome to On the Go with Celico. And today's episode, If Not Now, When? Where your host, Margene Clements, and our guest, Deborah Thorne, the information diva, will have a fun-filled conversation that will benefit women entrepreneurs of all ages, but especially women entrepreneurs over 50. Deborah, recently we conducted a series of workshops titled, If Not Now, When? Why that title, and what was your overall goal?
Okay, thank you for having me, first of all. The reason for the title is that it was aimed at women over 50, and generally speaking, we put off things doing for ourselves till our kids are grown, till they're out of the house, till this is paid off, that's paid off, whatever. And so my thing is, if you don't do it now, when? We're already over 50, time to get things started. And so my overall goal was to let women know that those dreams that they had, there's still time to make them come to fruition. You just have to plan for it.
Definitely. And so that was your overall goal. But beyond the series title, we called different sessions Daring to Dream, Dealing with Fear, Defining Success, and Driving Your Vision. Walk us through what you shared at each of those sessions.
Okay, so I presented the sessions using my signature ICE system: Imagine, Clarify, and Execute. So the first thing we started with was Dare to Dream. And my number one question to people always is, if money and resources were not an issue, what would your business look like, your life look like? What would you have happen? And that's where we started with the ladies. The next thing we did was have them draw a lifeline. You know, where do you think you are in life? You know, at the beginning, the middle, toward the end. The choice is yours to decide where you view yourself. And wherever you view yourself, you're absolutely right. And that's how you're going to do it. So if it's at the beginning, you have a lot of time to go ahead and do things and figure it out. If you're toward the middle, you know, we 50 plus like to think we're at middle age, and I always laugh because how many 120-year-old women do you know? But
right.
It's all good. It's all good. If you're like middle way and you got your family done, you've worked your career, now what is the rest going to look like and how are you going to push toward that? And if you believe you're near the end of your lifespan, you're in a hurry. Let's get it done. Let's get it now. And I just encourage the ladies to think about it. Think about, what did you used to dream about doing? And is there any way we can make that happen now? You know, what are your priorities? And now it's time to move you up in the priority list.
And this is primarily dealing with starting your own business, right?
With entrepreneurship.
Or just life. Or both.
Well, all of the above, because what happens is we women, for the first time in history, at age 50 plus, we are wealthier, healthier, and more energized than any other group of women age 50 and above. So what are you going to do with that? We didn't age like our mothers. We're much younger than they were. We don't retire like they did. Things have changed and we do things differently. So what I'm looking to do is to talk women through going from employee to entrepreneur as part of their retirement package, because you're going to realize that just because you're 60 whatever, it doesn't mean you want to go home and sit down in a rocking chair.
Definitely.
What are you going to do differently?
Yeah. And so dealing with fear.
Well, the ladies were surprised to learn, and maybe your audience too, that you're only born with two fears: the fear of falling and the fear of loud noises. Everything else you learned.
Really?
Only two fears. Think about it.
Okay, I'm going to think about that.
Okay, everything else you learned. And the great thing about that is that if you learned how to do it, you can unlearn. Okay, so it works both ways. And so I wrote a book about fear. It's called Fear, the Real F Word. And in it, I found that there were like 9 characters who were in action. And I called the ladies to take a look at these 9 characters and kind of see where they fit in. So the first one is Freddie. He's the fear of fight or flight. And many of us spend our lives either running away from things or fighting them. And there's all this middle ground that we could be using. So if you find yourself always running away because it's just too scary, or we're fighting at everybody, look for the middle ground. The next one that gets women is the fear of failure. We are so afraid to fail.
Oh, yeah.
But you can't succeed unless you fail.
Right.
And I always say to people, look at a baby learning to walk. How many times do they stand up and fall down before? And we don't get upset. We don't say they're failing at walking.
Right.
They're learning to walk. Well, the same thing with your life, with your business.
Wow.
The fear of failure is actually a good thing. It's like what's going to propel you. We worry about losing money. There's a fear of losing money. If I invest in this, if I spend this money, what if I lose money? Well, what if you do? Okay, it's not like it's the end of the world. You know, you have to invest in yourself. You know, the adage is, it takes money to make money.
Right.
I don't necessarily believe that, but you do have to invest time, energy, sweat, money. You have to invest in order to accomplish anything, be it business or just your life.
Definitely.
And you can't let the fear of losing some money be part of it. Another one that's real big with women is the fear of looking foolish. We don't want to look different than everybody else. But, you know, if you're doing exactly what everybody else is doing, it's the ordinary, and you're going to have exactly what everybody else is having, which is not extraordinary, which is what most of us want. So sometimes we look a little foolish. You know, people who did something for the first time look foolish. I'm sure when they drove the first car, it looked foolish, okay? Real foolish. And none of us are willing to give up our cars now. We do it just as a matter of fact. So just because you look a little foolish, a little different, it's okay. The big one for me and for many people is the fear of what my family and friends might say. Because these people love and care about us, but understanding that they have a direct correlation, they're keeping the status quo is very important to them. You know, you're my friend. As a friend, we go out for happy hour on Thursdays. We go do whatever on Saturdays. And when you change and say, no, I don't have time for happy hour, I don't have time to go out on Saturdays, I'm focusing on my dream, which is either my business or my lifestyle change, that upsets the status quo.
Definitely.
And everybody fights it, okay, because they want you to do what you've been doing, and clearly that's not what you want, because you want something different. Women really suffer from the fear of not knowing enough. We want to go get one more degree, one more certificate, one more whatever, and we just kind of bought into it, because that which we dream about or want to do, we already know a lot about it. Now, I'm not saying I'm anti-education, not at all, but what is that certificate gonna help with? I once had a friend who has a great eye, she's still a friend, who has a great eye for interior design, and she wanted to be an interior designer. Okay, all these houses that need designing on the inside and all that, and she convinced herself she needed to go to school, and she was taking a drafting class, and I'm like, help me understand how the drafting class is going to help you do interior design. Well, in order to get this certificate, you have to start with, I'm like, but the goal is not the certificate. We have to have a certificate to do interior design. No, you don't. Who says so? And so, you know, I encourage women in particular, everybody, but women in particular, to look at what is the knowledge you really need and go seek that. But just for collecting degrees and certificates, do you actually end up using them? Then we worry about the fear of the unknown. I don't know what will happen if I do this. Well, you know what happens if you continue to do what you're doing. If you continue to do what you're doing, you're going to have what you have. No, I don't know what it's like to live wealthy. Okay? I've never done it before. I don't know what that's like. Okay, that is the unknown. But I know I like nice trips.
The idea of it.
Nice trips, nice cars, nice clothing. That sounds interesting to me, but it's totally unknown. And we get caught up in, ooh, I don't know, will people like me the same? Probably not, but okay. You know, the broke people will still like you, because broke people want to be around other broke people. You stay there. So, you know, a choice. Then the fear of what if. What if I do it and it doesn't work? What if I do it and it does work? What if? Will people like me? Some won't. Okay, some people will fall off by the wayside. Okay. What if I make this great change and I'm doing all this, what about my friends? They're not coming along with me. Okay.
You make new friends.
Or not.
Or not, right?
Same, okay? It's the what if. And finally, the fear that most of us suffer with, it is the biggest one. I would say that 95 to 99% of the listening audience suffers with this. And when I say it, people always look at me crazy, but trust me. And that's the fear of success. We do all kinds of things to sabotage our own success, and we just need to be aware of it, so that when these things rise up and maybe one of the other fears or an opportunity or whatever, understand that sometimes you're really working against yourself.
Why is that?
Oh,
I mean, you have ideas, or
well, yeah, because it takes us out of our,
figured out about that.
It takes us out of our comfort zone. See, even if I don't like what I'm earning, doing, or being today, it's at least comfortable. When I step out and become this successful thing, and success brings with it its own set of baggage.
Oh, yeah.
Because you are absolutely right. You are going to lose some friends.
Oh, yes.
You know, when I first started my business, my friends would call me during my working hours, and I go, no, I can't talk. You're always working. Well, yeah, I am. During these hours, you can call me at whatever time, but you're at home. Yeah, I work from home. I'm still working, and I wouldn't entertain their calls. So then fast forward a little bit, I had expendable money, and I took 3 cruises in 1 year. And one of my girlfriends, same one complaining about me not having time to talk. Well, everybody doesn't have money like you. You don't get to have it both ways. Okay? You're right. I don't spend a lot of time with things that are no longer important to me. I work very hard. But I play even harder. Because I work hard, I get to play harder. Yes. And so that's where we get caught up in the success. So when we talked about the fears, I encourage the ladies and I encourage our listening audience to look at these things. Do any of these resonate with you? And what's going to be your strategy about them? Because they're going to come up. It's just, what's the strategy? So I'm going to reiterate that. That was the fear of fight or flight, the fear of failure, the fear of losing money, the fear of looking foolish, the fear of what my family and friends might say, the fear of not knowing enough, the fear of the unknown, the fear of what if, and the fear of success. So that was session 2.
Right, and so the next one was defining success. So here we go from fear of success to having to define it. That had to be interesting.
Well, it is, because now that you know that maybe what I thought was success was what I was fearing, I now want to give you permission, encourage you to think about what success means to you. So we started that class off really kind of interesting. I let the ladies write their tombstones, if you will. And it starts with, here lies a woman who. And then you fill it in. So when you fill it in, you don't fill in things like the woman who bought a Mercedes. You know, even though that might be what you define as part of the trappings of your success, but that's not what you want in your tombstone. No. Here lies a woman who earned $1 million. No.
Well, not so bad, but
yeah, okay. But what they did was start to look at what were really the things that were important to them, and how what you're doing each day leads to that. So here lies a woman, for me, who made a difference in the lives of women and children. Okay? Because I help women entrepreneurs and I work with children to resolve conflict. That's what's important to me. You know, and I add, for my personal belief, that here lies a woman who helped women and children the way God intended her to do. That's what everything I do is based on. So now when I am defining success, it isn't a dollar amount. It's how many women am I touching? Right. And when I'm touching them, oh yeah, I get paid, because this is still a business for me. How many children am I making a difference in their lives? And once again, I set it up in a structure where I get paid, but I'm clear about what success looks like for me. And for me, it does have a dollar amount. It affords me the ability to travel.
To go on cruises.
On cruises. I need to do at least 1 cruise a year. Absolutely. But even with that, one of my business streams takes me on travels. So I put it on a cruise ship. So I literally get paid to cruise. And it's like, okay, I'm good.
Yeah, really.
I'm having a good time.
Yes, that works.
Yeah, so we asked the women to define, you get to define your own success. Nobody defines it for you. No. And when you know that, when you understand what your priorities are, what you want to be known for and how you're going to make that generate income, generate revenue streams for you. Because you might want to make $1 million, but you don't have to get all $1 million from one thing. So it just helped them to work through it, and all of these built on one another. Because so now you go back, when you're looking at what your success is, you go back and you look at what your timeline is like. Is it reasonable to have that happen within that timeline that you set? Is it reasonable with the priorities that you set? Because you set priorities at the beginning. Do those priorities play through now? And it makes people take a look at it. So that was success. That was an interesting one, people to go through.
Yes, I can't imagine actually sitting and writing what should be on my tombstone.
Very sobering.
Yes, very sobering, and I don't know, it sounds very difficult to me.
Well, it's just breaking it down into pieces and thinking about it.
It would take some time to really...
Well, the whole idea was it's not a one-time sit down and do, but it's now been planted in the back of your mind. So when we get overwhelmed about life, when we get overwhelmed about things, we have the opportunity to say, okay, so what difference does this make for what I'm putting on my tombstone? And many times we go, oh, this doesn't really matter. Absolutely. So we're not going to worry about it. We're not going to do it. As a matter of fact, we're going to take it off the to-do list because it is not important to me anymore. And that, because we too many times get caught up in what we see other people doing.
Oh, definitely.
And if you have your definition of success and you place it where you can see it and reference it, you go, okay, yeah, they're doing all these wonderful things over there, but it has nothing to do with what success is for me. And I applaud you, support you any way I can. Can I write a check? Can I do? But I'm not going to spend any time with that because this is what success is for me.
Something just came to mind. When you're able to define success in this way, does that take away any of the fear of success?
Absolutely, because now it's manageable. The thing that you feared, you've now looked at and said, okay, what I was fearing was someone else's definition of success. Because people say to be successful, I have to drive a fancy car, I got to live in a fancy house, I got to do these things. No. In Deb's personal life, okay, my relationship with God is very important to me, so that's part of my success. I need to continue to serve women and children and get paid for it. That is part of my success. I need to drive a decent car, okay, because I don't like breaking down on the side of the road, but I don't need a Porsche and all these other things. I'm not driving fast anyway, so I don't need it. I am going to get a car that sits higher, so my next car is an SUV, just because getting older, I need to be able to climb in and out. And I need to be able to travel. Cruising is important to me. I love cruising. I love the Caribbean. So I need to get to the Caribbean at least once a year. But as I said, I took a group of women to the Caribbean last year on a trade exploration. That was business for me. Had a wonderful time. But it was strictly business. I met with the Ministry of Tourism in the Bahamas. We met with business women in Jamaica.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's success.
That is success.
And it was fun. Yes.
Yeah. I think having fun at work, because no matter what, even if it's your own business, it's still work.
Oh, absolutely.
Is really important, and I think that is actually a part of being successful too.
If you remember that.
Yeah.
But what happens is we get so caught up in the 9 to 5, if you will. Got to be there by 9 o'clock, got to stay till 5 o'clock. Oh my God, I got all these things to do. Whoa. What's important to you? If you're still in the workplace, they have made a definition of what you're to do. No more, no less. Let's get that done to our excellence. But that doesn't mean staying at the job 80 hours a week. Is that success? It's like...
Maybe to some people.
To some people. It just isn't to me. Just like driving in rush hour traffic. That does not define my success at all.
No, not at all. That defines craziness. But
yes. Okay.
Yes. Okay, and then your last session was deriving your vision.
Right.
How do you do that?
So... when we've talked about the things that are important to us, we dared to dream, and then we looked at the things that we were fearful of, and then we took a look at the things that define success for us. So now how do you get there? And the important thing, because you had mentioned it, well, it sounds really kind of difficult to put the success thing together. It absolutely does, because you got to do a lot of thinking. So now I want you to put your vision in one sentence. If you can't get it down to one sentence, and that's not a rambling sentence with lots of commas.
It's not a run-on sentence.
No.
Goodness.
It is a sentence that says something like, for me, it is delivering services to women and children in a way that honors who I am, character-wise, and makes me money. Because that makes me money is a big piece of it. Because, again, we as women, we will give, and then get mad because we don't have. Well, you gave it all away, okay? And so, but being able to define with one sentence what your vision is, understanding what the big why is. Why is it that you do that? Why do I work with women entrepreneurs to teach them to do business like a woman, not like a man? CEO, not CEO? Because for too long, business was a mystery. I spend time demystifying, that's the word I'm looking for, demystifying business and its strategies. Okay, so if you understand what it is, if we break down what success is, or we break down the fears, and you understand you got a big thing about it, and now we have a strategy for dealing with it, and then I take you to a system that reinforces that puts you in business. That's what makes it work. So you need to understand the why, you need to understand your vision, you need to understand your why. And what is the number one priority of your vision? And that's what you work on. Remember at the beginning I said, I work with a system I call ICE. Imagine, which we did. We spent a lot of time on the imagine. We clarified. That's what understanding the fears and what success is. And now we come to the piece that's execute. So every day when I get up, whatever I plan to do that day has to somehow tie back into this vision. Because I know the steps that it takes to reach what I want to reach. I need to reach out to more women. I need to reach out to more women over 50. I need to reach out to agencies and schools that deal with children in conflict, because I need to be able to provide service for them. And I know, so that when somebody calls me and says, hey, we're having a networking event. Really? Okay, who's it for? Well, it's for people who want to do diversity in the workplace. You know, that is a wonderful opportunity and a wonderful thing, but it's not for me because it doesn't fit in my vision. Doesn't mean it's bad. No, it just means that it's not for me. Yeah. And we need to be clear about that, so that when you have that clarity, and clarity is the piece. A couple of my clients, one of them used to call it the C word. She said, I know, it's a C word. Absolutely. When you're clear, when you're clear boundaries, when you're clear about what it is you want to do, then you can execute it. And so then we talked about what it takes to execute it. What are you going to do in the next 30 days? What are you going to do in the next week? What are you going to do in the next 24 hours that leads toward your vision? That was it.
Very good. I missed several of those sessions, but when I sat in, I did see the one about on your tombstone, and that just kind of stopped me right there. I was like, that will take me so long to figure out.
Well, no, not really, because remember, you don't have a whole lot of letters on a tombstone. There's not a whole lot of space.
No, that's why it'll take me. I'm a little too verbose for that. But anyway, I'll get there someday. I know, with your help, I'll get there.
There we go.
Well, thank you so much, Deborah. This has been very enlightening, and I hope very helpful. I'm sure very helpful to our listening audience. And I want to thank our listeners for listening. If you would like further counseling from the Information Diva, you may contact her at 310-497-1640. And you are welcome to visit the Business Resource Connection here at Silico WIB Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. because we quite often have speakers like Deborah that can guide you through starting your business, keeping your business, and growing your business. So you can also visit us at our website at www.silico.com. And remember ICE, imagine, clarify, and execute.
Thank you so very much for having me.
You're very welcome.
Thank you for listening to On the Go with Silico. If you've enjoyed the episode, please subscribe to the podcast on iTunes. You can also download our app, available for free on Google Play and the Mac App Store. Thank you for listening, and we'll be back soon with a new episode.